Hey folks, Dan Wallace with Excalibur's Hunting Backwoods, and today I'm going to show you how to attach your Excalibur scope to your Excalibur. Now this happens to be the brand new TACT-100, and it had hold marks all the way out to 100 yards. Now realistically, we're not going to be shooting animals at 100 yards, but it's fun to shoot targets out to 100 yards, especially with this brand new Assassin that's shooting 420 feet per second. But here you go guys, your scope comes from Excalibur with the 30mm mounting brackets already on it. Now what I like to do is go ahead and take all the screws all out so I have everything disassembled so I can make sure that everything's tight all the way. So now we have our rings off our scope, and you want to loosen up this nut on the side here. Now I know from shooting Excaliburs I like my scope a little bit more forward, and I always like to put it in the second bar right here. So make sure that it's clamped on one side, make sure that that other clamp is secure there, and just finger tighten that for now. Grab your other scope base, loosen it up. It's going to go about right there, and finger tight it. So you got the weaver bar in between the grooves on the scope brace, and they're finger tight, and they're barely moving. Now take your Excalibur scope with your elevation turret pointed up, and make sure that you have enough forward and backwards there, which it looks like I do. So now I have enough forward and backward eye relief there if I need it. So we're going to go ahead and take our screwdriver and tighten up these side nuts. So those are gripped down there pretty good. Now we're going to take the top of our rings, put them on top of there. And you're going to take a little bit of blue Loctite and put on the threads that secure the top and the bottom rings. And repeat that with all 4 screws. Now don't tighten these screws down too tight, and make sure that they're even on both sides. But you want your scope to still be able to move, but it's a little snug, because now we're going to level our bow and also get our proper eye relief on our scope. Now, a lot of guys will just look through the scope and try and get the horizontal perfect with the limbs. Now that would work fine for probably shooting out to 40 yards. But if you really want to go for major accuracy all the way out to 100 yards, if this is not level with the riser, you're going to get left and right variations. So what you do, put your bow down on a sandbag so it's not flopping around, and there's several different kinds of levels out there guys, but I like to use a big level on the front and get my limb or my risers level, and then come up here to the turret, put one on top of the turret here, and now match them up. Now making minor adjustments, you can see that my top of my turret on my scope is level and my riser is level. So now, you can either use your hex head here, or I like to use a torque wrench, and you want to use anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds of torque on those screws. They're not very big screws. And you want to go in a cross pattern, just like you put a tire on. So tighten up a little bit here, come around to this side, tighten up a little bit here. That way we're tightening evenly against the scope. And keep repeating that process until you get to about 15 to 20 foot-pounds of pressure. I've got the torque wrench set at 20. There she pops. There she pops. There she pops. Now you can do that with this, but if you over tighten it, you can strip that screw out. But again, let's check our level. Make sure when we were tightening up our screws that we were good. Yep, we're good. And that's how you're going to properly mount your Excalibur scope on your Excalibur. And again, guys, if your scope is not level, you're not going to be able to make those longer shots. The farther the shot, the more left to right variances you are going to have if your scope is not in level. Well, now that your scope is attached, in another video, I'm going to show you how to sight in your scope and how to adjust the speed dial to your Excalibur.